Mental Training 101. And now back to Get Warrior Tough with Andrew and Dutch.
All right, Dutch got the big guns out. And his Magic Mike abs. You're so handsome. Nice. He's wearing his when you see on the YouTube channel, he's wearing his sleeveless shirt. He's showing off his guns. It's hilarious. They're huge. I mean, what's hilarious is that he's making me look bad and enjoying it.
And this is my travel attire.
Yeah. It's attire, all right. All right, so let's talk about language, Dutch. This is huge because choosing the right word is the difference between showing empathy and being a jerk. And again, it's factor truth because most people, I'll say the human machine operates in truth. Okay, so we perceive what somebody said based on the word that they said. Now, I want you guys to all imagine, I do personal training, not as much anymore because we just stick with the mental side. So we actually have some coaches that we push people towards, if they need personal training. But so imagine you're all my coaching clients or whatever, and I sent out, a text that said, we all need to watch our diet. Everybody needs to watch their diet this week. Or I sent out a text that said, everybody needs to watch their nutrition this week. Which one sounds better?
Nutrition.
Why?
It's clearer. It's more precise.
Well, it means we're putting good stuff in our body, right? What I say diet, what did you hear?
Diet means don't put anything in there or put less anything. It's
not
specific to,
right. So or people say, you're calling me fat. No, I didn't. I said diet.
Right.
So
diet is one of those words that we talk about accuracy and precision.
But it is accurate. If you look it up, they mean the same thing. My diet is exactly the same thing as my nutrition. It just, you have a different perception of the word. So that's what we're talking about with language skills. So I'm going to make sure that I'm using nutrition if I want to evoke, a positive response.
Absolutely.
Even though I talk about my diet and fitness all the time, it's my diet. What's my diet is what I'm putting into my body as fuel. It means the exact same thing as nutrition. It just has a different context. I mean, a different connotation.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say that the mind goes a different place with the word diet than it does nutrition. So that language is powerful. And choosing the language may seem small, but studies have shown that matters. It takes your brain to a completely different place, just a choice of one word over another.
Absolutely. And there's many more examples of that we could talk about. But I think that for what the amount of time we have right now, that's what's going to have to suffice. So I need to move on. So the next area, and you and I have already talked about this earlier in the show, talking about the sandbox, is managing conflict. When parents, I just read a thing about the helicopter parents. When you jump into referee too quickly, you don't allow Johnny and Susie to learn how to manage this conflict. Like Dutch said, it ain't the end of the universe, it's the sandbox. But this is where we learn how to manage our emotions and learn how to compromise and come up with a solution. And if you're jumping in as a parent, you're really setting your kids up for failure later on.
And believe it or not, their practice and experience during that conflict is more valuable than your solution.
Way more. Say that again, man, because that is so right on.
Your solution has a place and a time. That's the important thing. It has a place and a time. But them practicing that conflict, that experience is way more valuable than your immediate solution. And we got to remember that. We have to take a step back from us being mommy and daddy and being in charge and being that savior and allow them to experience that.
And it carries over into adulthood because I'm watching, we go into corporate all the time, you and I. This is what we do. We go in there, and one of our major things that we do is teach people how to deal with conflict, and they're waiting on, so-and-so said so-and-so, and they're waiting, they take it to the boss and go tattle because two workers can't get along. You know where they learned that? In the sandbox. Because their mom or dad or whoever, they went and fixed and told on they never learned how to deal with it on their own. And conflicts are just a platform. Listen, here's another one. Conflict, when you hear that in your word, you hear that word, you hear confrontation and fight and awful. No, think of conflict as just a platform for discussion to share your perspective and to learn the other person's perspective.
And conflict is a great opportunity for a team victory. Now, you notice I said team victory because when conflict is not an opportunity for my victory.
Yeah.
It's for a team victory. So when conflict takes more than one party, right? Solution is the coming together of those parties.
Right.
Right? So we want solution. So solution says team. Conflict and victory, a lot of times when you put those two, you're thinking about me winning. When solution has nothing to do with an individual victory. See, individual victory may be more associated with win, but solution is more associated with a team victory.
Right, where a solution is where it's working out for everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So this is a huge deal right here. Just jumping in. And also the same thing, you said this earlier, Dutch, and it kind of struck me that you had the conversation with your kids that you tell them why. Because the human brain wants to know why, not just because I said so.
Yeah.
Give them an actual, teach them your reasoning and your thought process. This is the problem with most adults and parents. They don't have a thought process that they couldn't teach. What they're teaching their kids is it's a jungle up there. But when you walk them through a solution, if you're going to present the solution, they can't get it worked out, whatever. When you're going to present the solution you're presenting is really a thought process. You shouldn't solve the problem for them. You should teach them the thought process to solve their own problem.
Now, I'm going to be transparent. I'm guilty of something here because we're all continual learners. Now, I have a dual philosophy here. I'm a stickler for explaining to my kids why I want them to understand because I feel like it helps them understand. It takes away that concern, that stress of not knowing what just happened to them. But every now and then I stick in that I'm not going to tell you why. You're just going to do what I asked you to do. And my reason behind that, and I even explain this to them because that's what the world does sometimes. And sometimes you have to just do what you're supposed to do. And so I stick that in there sometimes just as a teaching point that sometimes there's not going to be time for an explanation.
Well, and that's exactly right because your life might be on the line. If I tell you hit the deck, you might just, why?
Yeah,
right. So,
and believe me, that is real.
No, it is real.
That is real. There have been people who've been killed or injured
because they're asking about why when I'm telling you hit the deck because you're about to get hit.
Exactly. No, so that's kind of funny, but that's a real example he just gave. People have been injured because they did. So the thing is, you don't dominate them by never telling them anything. That's not good.
Right.
But you have to find that balance of getting them to understand that sometimes when you're instructed to do things, you have to have the capacity or ability to just do it.
Right, and we teach this in corporate too. So, but here's the deal, and my kids know this, right? My default mode is that I'm going to teach you my thought process. I'm going to tell you the why stuff's going. They know, and I'm telling you, they know by the tone of my voice that when I say it's now, they ain't asking why, they just doing it. And it's not because I'm mad at them, because they know my default mode is I'm going to teach it. And you know what? After this happens, after we get out of this, I'll tell you why when it's not expedient. But they know, they could tell by my tone of voice, and every one of them, if you ask them, they'll know. They know when it is.
And if you explain it to them enough times and you have that sort of relationship with your children, when you don't, the first thing they're going to think is, okay, this must be important because they didn't do that. And they're gonna give you that pass, and they're gonna go along with you because they know either you didn't have time or it was something very important because you usually would tell them. So they're gonna respect that space.
They will respect that space.
And
now, if my default mode was as a tyrant and I'm just dictatoring them all over the place, then no, they're gonna get sick of that and shut down.
Absolutely.
Which brings me to my next point: collaborate as a family. And we talked about this in our coaching call last night. That it can't be your target mom or your target dad. You got to everybody come together. And I use the example of my kids. My kids, I talk about my 300-year plan, right? It's a target that the whole family, everybody has buy-in because everybody has a part to play, and our stuff is all woven together like a cloth. It's collaboration. Everybody has their own. It's not my way, no highway option. Everybody comes together so that we find, like you said, a solution or a target that's good for everyone.
And it's going to be smoother. It's going to be more efficient. It's going to be more productive. All these things that happen when everyone's on board. You're going to everyone's energy, everyone's input, everyone's positive emotion. You're going to get all these different things. So it's going to be a much better process when everyone has buy-in.
This cannot be understated. Stop thinking that you know best. because the kids are geniuses too. Their human brains are built the same way yours is. Yes, we want to point them in the right direction, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to, and if you started this from the time they're 2, and I'll tell my kids, my oldest one's going to the Citadel, the next one's a junior in high school. He just started his first job today. He's 15 years old, about to turn 16, started working. He went out and found that job on his own, did all the stuff he did, and then, my youngest girl, she's doing, swimming and lacrosse and cross country. And I'm just looking at all these kids. I'm watching them. I didn't make them do any of that stuff. They're all high performers because we had family collaboration. They saw that mom and dad are high performers, and then they could be. I didn't make any of them do it. I don't make any of them do it.
I'm with you. I'm a stickler for that. And, people with my athletic background, and especially my wife's athletic background, the more accomplished athletic background, people expect and assume that our kids are doing those things. And as of yet, my 12-year-old just really started getting into those things, and they're surprised that we hadn't pushed them into that. And they said, no, we want them to be great at whatever they try, but we want them to try whatever they want to try. We don't want to shove them into anything. We want them to find their way, and we're guides.
Right.
In
it's
that
a
process.
Collaboration. Now, listen, I could not be prouder. I'm so proud that my sons have picked to go to the Citadel because warriors beget warriors. But you know what? And I had a friend who was a Navy corpsman. I was a Marine. He's like, your kid's going to grow up and join the Navy and be a corpsman. I'm like, no, don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. But even if they picked the Navy, I'm glad they didn't. But if they did, I'm still going to be, I'm going to it's a collaboration. I'm not making them, do what I'm not making them go to the school I went to. I'm not making them join the branch of service I did. I'm not making them do any of those things. It's a collaboration where we all talk about it and what's best for everybody. You come up with the solution. How does it fit in with the target?
I'm with you.
All right.
I'm with you.
So here's the last thing. The hour is just about up. We got one more thing. Read and watch TV and movies together as a family, even from the time that they're kids. And I've done this with my kids. We're going to watch a movie, we're going to watch a TV show, or read a book, and then we talk about it. And I always joke with you that I can make any movie a mental toughness movie, but I always find the line, the teaching line. We'll always find it, and we always talk about it. And now, like from the time my kids were little, they would find the line. Once they started, that was the game, that we're going to find what the mental toughness line was, what the leadership line was, what was the, the character, the credibility, what was the, they start telling me it, not me telling them it. And now we're all working together we're spotting that and talking about those things. And if somebody showed out, in a movie or TV, we're going to talk about that too and why that's not acceptable.
I got the ultimate mental toughness movie that I saw recently.
What was it?
You'll never guess. Cinderella. The ultimate.
She's totally mentally tough, man. When she's down there, she's scrubbing, and the sister, she's doing her job, and she did sparkling. She did a great job with all that, doing the work. And
I saw the newest live
the
version
new one?
With the not animated, but the people, and it's the newest version that came out in the past year. Mentally tough that child was, Cinderella was. If you get a chance to see that, watch it and watch her.
There you go. And see, that's great. If you have a little princess, you go take her to see Cinderella and talk about it. Princess, we call my little girl Michaela, we call her Princess, but I'm like, yeah, Princess Leia, man. Darth Vader was scared of her.
Absolutely.
And he was her dad, her
I want to
father.
say something. I know we're ending the show.
Yep.
I had the long night. I had the long drive, and I'm dead tired. There's nothing like waking up talking about stuff like this. This woke me up.
That's awesome, man. Because you were. I was worried about you. I thought you might fall asleep, but you did it, and you didn't even do it with sugar or caffeine. I love you, buddy.
Love you too.
Peace out.